So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another album review of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're going to talk about a brand new album by a deathcore band from Swiss, and they're called Paleface Swiss, and the album is called First, and it's 9 tracks, 28 minutes in length. So, this is a band that I haven't heard a lot about them, but a friend of mine from work actually told me about this band. He's like, "Hey, this band, they have they're like one of the angriest, most pissed off bands that I've listened to." So I listened to their new album, but I listened to some of their old stuff. And on this new album, Cursed, there's a little bit more. It's still a pissed off record, but I think they're a little bit more mellower on this release. So yeah, so Pale Swiss. So this is the album cover for the album Cursed. So yeah, uh, when I look at this album cover, I'm thinking of like, yeah, I wonder if it's deathcore, but musically, there's a lot of like new metal influences on this record, and even some like rap. So I'll touch a little bit about like songs that and my thoughts on this. But this is my first time listening to this band, and I gotta say, there's some entertaining parts, but this is a record that I think suffers from trying to do a lot of shit in 28 minutes. And sometimes it works because last year, Not Blues threw it out of the park. So, do Paleface Swiss do that? Let's find out. So, the first thing that I thought of this album that it was kind of like I didn't like that much was they open with this opening track that is called Un pobre niño murió, which translates that Spanish to a poor child has died, and that's like a minute and 45 seconds, and you can faintly hear that track. You hear like a woman mumbling in the back. And I remember when I first listened to this track, I was driving and I was thinking like, are my speakers on? Like, where the fuck is this track? I can't listen shit. So it drags on, and then you faintly hear until you get to the first song, but it's like a wasted intro. You can hardly listen to it. So I was thinking like, what is the point of this? Like, I even thought that there was something wrong with my speakers. But then I listened on repeat listens to the album on headphones, and I could listen a little bit better. But still, I thought it's just kind of a whimper to start an album with this like weird noise intro that you can barely hear anything. But hopefully, the second track called Hatred kicks ass. And on that one, I'm listening to it. I'm like, deathcore. To me, it sounded more like Slipknot, uh, like in the music, not as much as the vocals, because the singer doesn't sound exactly like Corey Taylor, like Bended, which has Corey Taylor's song. So I think Hatred was solid, entertaining. The lyrics on this record, they're nothing that you would say like, oh my God, these lyrics, they're so deep. No, they're not. I think this is this is an album to listen in the mosh pit. It's not an album to do like let me analyze these lyrics, see how deep they are, because they're not that deep. But I thought Hatred was a good album, like opener and entertaining. Then you have tracks like and with hope you'll be, don't you ever stop, and there's a little bit of like a formula to it. So it's like a little bit of deathcore with new metal. There's a little bit of repetition in some of the lyrics, like on Don't You Ever Stop. He's like, don't you ever stop. Don't you ever fucking stop. And he repeats it like 5 times. I'm like, I get it. You do not want me to stop. But then after that, you have The Elephant in the Room, which is a song called Enough. The first like minute and a half to 1 minute and 45 of this song sounds like an old like rap song. It sounds like I don't know if you guys remember, Couchers. But back in the 90s, there was this movie that they had a lot of like metal bands with rap groups, and it reminded me of Onyx with Biohazard for some reason. And only that the rapping wasn't as good as Onyx. If you never listened to Onyx, listen to Slam, great track. And and the album was for the Judgment Night. So that one enough starts rapping, and like at the minute and 45, the singer's like, no, 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 no. Let's give it what they want. Let's go hard. And then the metal part kicks in. And it's kind of corny lyrics. I gotta give it to it. It's corny but fun, but very, very corny lyrics. And the song, uh at the end, he's there's a line at the end that really made me laugh. He's like, am I hard enough for you? And I was like, the first thing that popped into my head was like, that's what she said. But but yeah, it's a track that's, I don't think it's a track that is meant to be taken very seriously, but yeah, it's like an elephant in the room, but the lyrics are very corny indeed. Then you have a song like Youth Decay, which it has more of like a corn meets Slipknot type of elements. It reminds me a little bit of what Suicide Silence tried to do with that album, where they tried to be more new metal adjacent. So I think this band, Paleface Swiss, are trying to do something like that Suicide Silence record, but better. It's because that Suicide Silence album sucked. There's some good stuff on this one. But yeah, that sounds like that. Then you have a song called My Blood on Your Hands, which like the first 50 seconds, it's like more like My Blood in Your Hands. It's more like a voice and hardly music, and then it gets more distorted, but it finishes like at 129, so it barely feels like a song. So it was too short. Like they could have like gone and make it like longer, make it more interesting, but instead it's like starts and fades out, and it's the end. It's over. Uh, but I think the last two album tracks, I think, are the strongest tracks on the record, and I think they're the strongest because on this one, the lead singer does some melodic singing better. Because on the other tracks, uh, he doesn't try to do that much melodic, and it doesn't hit that well. But on a song like Love Burns and Rivers of Sorrows, it does. Love Burns to me is my favorite track on the record. It's got some very hooky guitar riffing to it. Again, this one reminded me of like a deathcore version of like a Korn, mixed with some other new metal bands. But the chorus of the part I really enjoyed. The lyrics are okay, it's all about, like love sucks and it hurts you. So it's the lyrics, again, the lyrics are not the strongest part of this record. But I think that's the strongest song on the record. And River of Sorrows is like a more like slower tempo type of song, very moody. And I think it made for a good album closer. Uh, or it could have been a cool like in the middle, but I liked it. And again, I think when they do some singing and they try to do singing without trying to be corny, I think it works better. So overall, Paleface Swiss-Cursed, it's not a bad record, but it's also not an amazing record. I think it's, if you want a record like to like mosh and maybe go to the gym and not think about it and just have some fun, this is for you. But do not analyze the lyrics. To me, the weakest part of this record is the lyrics, and sometimes like the second thing, trying to do too much. I think the weakest track on the record is My Blood on Your Hands and Enough. Those tracks are the weakest. I think Enough, I don't know, it's just so corny that it's in the corny, it's so bad that it's good. But yeah, it's a record that I would say it's a middle of the road record. It's okay at times, but I think the band, because I listened to some of their older stuff, and they went like harder and it was more menacing. I think on this record they mellowed out a little bit, and also I think they're trying to keep Limp Bizkit around for their money on the F bombs, because there's a lot of like fucking, fuck this, fuck that on a lot of tracks. Like everything is almost everything is explicit. We get it. So yeah, Paleface Swiss. First, I enjoyed it. Not a perfect record, but if I'm bored and I want to like do sweat, I can listen to it. So I want to know from you, cultures, what do you think of Paleface Swiss, the album Curse? Comment down below. What are your favorite tracks? And do you agree with me that you think this is like a mixed bag of a record? I think this is the type of record that maybe longtime fans of this band, which has been just been around since 2017, maybe I think this is going to be a divisive record. So I want to know from you, cultures, especially people who have been listening to this band for a few years now. Do you think this is a divisive record? Comment down below. So coming up next for the channel, I got more interviews, more album reviews, and actually there's a new Bad Bunny record, and I'm going to review it sometime in the beginning of next week. So until next time, couchers, this is Hector, the shield dude on the couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.